concept of infinite banking can be very confusing, especially if you've never heard of it. And that's because it's just so many different types of insurance policies. Now, I'm not going to go through all 10 of these, okay? If you want to learn more about the insurance plans, you'd have to attend one of my other classes. But what we're going to focus on today are the policies that are going to be useful in context of infinite banking and retirement planning. And the policies that we're going to want to look at for that are the whole life and or the IUL policy. That is for the infinite banking. Now, in terms of retirement planning, if we have old retirement money that we want to put into an insurance policy, right? You want to get the benefits of the insurance policy. Maybe you don't qualify for a death benefit. You may not qualify for a whole life plan. You may not qualify for an index universal life plan, but you might have $50,000, $60,000. Well, guess what? We can use that to obtain a insurance policy. Doesn't require any medical exam. It's all based on what you put into the policy. So that's a fantastic solution for some of you who may not qualify due to some underlying health conditions. So no matter what position you're in, there is a policy that you can plug into your financial plan that can help you. Now, today is about infinite banking. So what we're going to focus on today, for my clients, we always like using the IUL plan because of the flexibility that you have within the plan and the number of options you have in terms of how you grow the savings in that policy. 10, 15, 20 different savings accounts. 15 different savings accounts. One of my top companies has 15 different savings accounts. So when you open that insurance policy and you start funding that policy, you can choose between 15 different savings accounts. Well, with your whole life plan, you're only going to have the one account that they give everybody. Okay. So today I'm going to talk to you about the tax rules for structuring your infinite banking policy so that you can then begin to use your policy as a bank. And we're going to, again, wrap up with the annuity section, which is going to give you some idea of how your retirement money that you've already saved can be repositioned to create passive income and growth for you in retirement. Now, I'm going to give you these tax rules. These are the tax rules that make infinite banking possible. This first rule is known as what I call the overfunding rule. The overfunding rule is a rule that was brought about in the late 1970s, early 1980s, and it was designed to prevent people from abusing their life insurance policies. And the reason they created this law was because prior to the law being created, people were putting all of this money, millions of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars, into their insurance policies with no restrictions. They were making 12%, 15% returns, but not paying any taxes on it. So this rule came about because the IRS realized if we don't put some type of restriction on insurance, people would just put all of their money in insurance and we won't be receiving the tax revenue that we should be receiving. So what we're going to do is we're going to restrict how much premium you can put into your insurance policy. You can use it as an investment. You're just going to have a limit on how much you can put in there. And you're going to have a minimum investment that you must meet. So as long as you meet the minimum investment and you do not exceed the maximum, okay, you're able to use that policy as an investment. And that savings account can be tapped for outside investments. And you don't have to pay any taxes on the money that you take out because of the 72E rule. So this is where the accessing the policy comes in. The 7702 is about building up the policy. The 72E is about taking the money out of the policy after you've built up the policy. This is the policy loan. You can borrow against that savings, maybe make an investment in real estate, right? Make some money there, take that money and put it back into the policy, right? That's one good example. Or if you want to use your policy for retirement, maybe you're just building your policy for retirement. Do that for 10 or 15 years, and guess what? You're using your 72E rule to take withdrawals from your policy. So see, the same 72E rule that allows you to take money out to make an investment without paying taxes on that distribution, right? It's the same rule that you're going to use if you're using it for retirement. The only difference is when you're using it for retirement, you're just taking money out, and not putting anything back in. Whereas with infinite banking, it's money out, money back in, money out, money back in. So infinite banking for investment purposes versus infinite banking for retirement purposes, again, it's the same tax rule that you're going to be using to access the value that you created within that policy. Now, this speaks to what happens if I set up my infinite banking policy and I pass away. Well, any money that is in that policy when you pass away also gets paid out to your beneficiaries income tax free. So you get to take it out tax free per 72E. Your beneficiaries get money tax free per section 101A-1 of the Internal Revenue Code. Now, this is just showing you visually what this looks like. So with our infinite banking policy, which is a life insurance policy with a savings account, remember this 7702 rule gives us a maximum and a minimum. So if we come to this, we see that our minimum is $100 a month, right? Our maximum might be something like $800 a month. So anything between $100 and $800 a month is what we can invest in this particular plan. Now, you can choose, and that's where a lot of the confusion comes in, because some of my clients will say, well, how much do I need to put in, or how much? And I'm like, well, you know, as long as you're covering the minimum, you're going to still build a savings. You're just not going to build as much as you would build if you did the max. So in this example, this person has a minimum requirement of $100. They're putting in $400. That $400 still is not the maximum. This person's maximum is $800. You all get what I'm saying? So overfunding and max funding are two different things. You can overfund, which is like this $400 a month, or if you have more resources, maybe you went through the lost money exercise that I talked to you all about, you found some extra money, maybe you want to do up to the $800 a month. Again, that's up to you, but the main thing is we're building up this savings and we're able to tap that savings tax-free using Rule 72E of the Internal Revenue Code. Now, I like advanced strategies. I love teaching strategies. So what I just explained to you was the infinite banking process, which is basically not the process, but how the policy needs to be structured, the tax rules that go into infinite banking, why, all of that. We went over the technical stuff. Now what I want to do is give you some real world strategies where, yeah, infinite banking is great, but there's other things we can do with an insurance policy beyond infinite banking. For example, we talked about income tax reduction. A lot of people do not know that if you have a small business, you are able to set up what is called a cash balance plan under your small business. And a cash balance plan is nothing but a life insurance policy under your business, or an insurance policy under your business. And the money that you put into that insurance policy under the business is now 100% tax deductible. So you're able to, now this is an example of a physician, a doctor, right, and his wife, and let's say they're both making total income of $650,000. Well, in this example, this couple was able to put $335,000, which is basically more than half of their income, into an insurance policy, right? And guess what? We now have reduced that income tax on that money. We took the taxable income from $650,000 to $315,000. And look what's happening here. Tax liability went from $179,000 to $58,000. So imagine what that means. I have now been able to use, now this is not infinite banking. Infinite banking, we just went over. This is using the policy as a tax reduction tool that also would help us with retirement, because the cash balance plan is a pension plan that you establish under your business. You're basically creating your own pension with an insurance policy under your business, and the government allowed you to write off 100% of that contribution into that policy. You get me? And this is not the maximum, because if you have a family business, you can actually allocate, you can get 300 and some thousand, maybe the other person can get 50,000, and that can all go into that policy. And guess what it's done? You've reduced your income taxes, and you've also been able to plan for retirement. So again, this is using the insurance policy as both an investment vehicle and a retirement planning vehicle, and a income tax reduction vehicle as well. Okay. A lot of people also don't know that you can also have a bank finance your insurance policy. Now I know some of you probably never heard of it. It is called premium financing. Now, it is not something that you would probably ever hear about unless you have a certain amount of income and or assets. This is the strategy that is used by, I'll give you an example, Oprah Winfrey, Tyler Perry, Michael Jordan, people that have, because they have life insurance as well, right? It's that the structure of their life insurance is different. The purpose of the life insurance is different. Okay. With Michael Jordan, with Oprah Winfrey, they have what's called an estate tax issue. Okay. When you pass away, you worth over a certain amount of money, the government must take a big chunk of what you created. So one of the things that you can do is you basically buy a very, very, very big insurance policy, $100 million, $200 million. And in a lot of cases, the premiums on those policies can be millions of dollars a year, just the premium. So if you are an investor and you may have assets, you might have the income, but you don't maybe want to sell this asset to pay for the insurance. You want to be able to keep your assets producing income and just pay the interest on the loan that you're borrowing from the bank to buy the insurance policy. So basically, you're borrowing from the bank to buy the insurance policy, which is an investment. So you're using your life insurance as a real estate investment, for example, and the bank collateralizes the policy. So you're able to get a bigger policy basically for less money than you would basically pay out of your own pocket. If your premium is $2 million, you can borrow the money to buy the policy. The bank will basically front the money for the policy, and the money that you're making inside of the policy at the end of 5 years, in 10 years, will be enough to offset any loans that you've taken out to buy the policy. Y'all get me? So this is a way that with this, you have to have at least $1 million. I mean, you got to have higher income, $1 million income and on net worth, and obviously meet some other qualifications. But if you meet those qualifications, you can actually have a bank to step in to actually finance your policy for you, and you can get a bigger policy for less out-of-pocket cost, right, than you would otherwise be paying. Okay, now this is another thing I like to do oil and gas investing. I'm an oil and gas investor. Now this is great. Now let me pause for a second. You ain't gonna never hear of some of the stuff that I'm talking to you about from any black person, because all this stuff I learned when I was working at JP Morgan Chase Bank. I worked around a whole bunch of white folks, and I was inquisitive. I'm like, what is that? And guess what? You can also own oil and gas properties. I have oil and gas investments in 3 different states. Okay. I don't own all of any project. I am a fractional owner of the project. So let me tie that into insurance. Let's say you set up your infinite banking policy. Maybe you overfund it. Remember, you got the maximum in the million. So let's say you overfund it. You do that for 10 years, right? Let's say you got $300,000 in your insurance policy. and you're my client and you say to me, Jerry, let's do some real estate. And you know what I'm gonna ask you? Well, what kind of real estate you want to do? You want to invest with us in Nigeria? Let's make some money in the motherland. Look, we gonna make so much damn money, it's gonna be ridiculous. But anyway, let's talk about oil and gas. Let's say you got the $300,000 in your insurance policy, and let's say this oil and gas investment requires $100,000. Now, where are you gonna get the $100,000 to do your oil and, let's say you got your retirement account. You don't want to touch that money, right? You want to leave that where it's at. That's another bucket. That's a growth bucket. This is income investment. Y'all with me? So if I'm trying to create a passive income while my growth bucket, because these are, remember, income and growth are two separate buckets. I taught y'all that. So if I wanted to buy a passive income property, I can tap my insurance policy to make that investment into the oil and gas, and watch what happens when you invest in oil and gas. You get to write off 100% of the investment. You get to write off 85% in the first year, and then years 2 through 5, I believe 2 through 5 or 2 through 6, you get to write off the other 20%. So you basically are able to take all of the money for your investment into an oil and gas property out of your insurance policy, make the investment, get the write-off from the money that you took out of the policy. So you basically have been able to write off a portion of your infinite bank, pretty much. You have a policy that you built up, you taking it out by the oil and gas investment. Watch this. These properties generate 20, 30% annual returns of cash. So imagine if you put $100,000 in a project, and that project is paying you $20,000 a year for the next 20 years. So you invest $100,000 one time and you get $20,000 checks for the next 20 years. Sounds like a pretty good deal to me, right? So when we are looking at making alternative investments, maybe all of your other money is allocated. If you have a policy with money in fact, the minimum investment with the company, there's one company that handles all of my oil and, actually I have two companies that handle my oil and gas investment. One of them I don't like that much, but the one that I have most of my money with, okay, they basically have an online portal. You go in there, you look at that check hit every the 20th of every month. That check hits my account. So then, if we're trying to do some other investing, we can absolutely build up a policy. Now, the thing with a policy, when you set up your infinite banking policy, there's going to be some fees. And I want to talk to you about the fees, because that's one of the things a lot of people ask about is, I don't want to invest. I don't think you should invest in insurance. Well, no matter what you invest in, there's going to be a fee. Ain't no such thing as a free lunch. You're going to have to pay a fee no matter if it's an insurance policy. Fidelity ain't letting you, they not holding your money for free. So it's not about if it's a fee or not, it's about is the net benefit enough to justify the fee that you're paying. Let's keep going. So what are those fees? And how do those fees impact the growth of the policy and what you can ultimately take out of the policy? Now, there are 5 fees that you pay for the infinite banking policy. Now, these are not fees. They're not going to send you a bill for these fees, okay? But what happens is, let's say, I'm going to show you an example on the next slide, but let's say, for example, you're going to put money, let's say you want to invest $10,000 a year into your policy. When you put that $10,000 a year in, they're going to subtract out of those, they're going to subtract their fees out, and then the rest will go into your savings account. They don't put the whole thing in your savings. They take their portion out, right? And then whatever's left goes into the savings. Now, those fees are on the screen. The first fee is what's called the cost of insurance. That is basically what you're paying for the death benefit, okay? Because remember, it's a life insurance policy with a death benefit and savings account. The second fee that you'll see is what's called a policy fee. It's usually like $50. It's real small. But that's just the administrative cost of issuing the policy. The life insurance company has a lot of staff. They have to pay lights. They have to pay insurance too. They have to pay taxes. Another fee you'll see on the ledger section, I'm going to show you all this in the next slide, is what is called a premium charge. So the thing with some of these fees, they go away after 5, 6, 7, 10 years, they go away. But it's this first 10 years in your policy, all of these fees will be on there. So you'll see when you pay your premium, you'll see these little fees come out. The rest goes into the savings account. A premium charge is a tax that the life insurance company pays in every state in which they conduct business. Whenever a life insurance company takes in premiums from clients, from customers, the states view that as income. So what they do is to offset the taxes, right? They basically charge you what's called a premium charge. That's what a premium charge is. It's just a tax. Now you can reduce your premium charge by paying up your policy early. Okay, so that's another thing a lot of people ask me is, well, Jerry, if can I just pay it up early? Yeah, you need to pay your policy up early because the premium tax is based on the number of premiums that you pay. So if a person is paying 5 premiums versus paying 50 premiums, the person that's paying 50 premiums is going to have a larger overall premium tax that comes out of the premium that they're putting into the policy. Y'all with me on that? So you can control some of these, like the premium charge you can control. Cost of insurance is just based on your health. It is what it is. The policy fee is just a fee, an overhead cost. The per unit charge is what they charge you for the underwriting. So you're paying for the mail that they send you. You paying for the underwriting. They just basically bundle everything into that one premium. They just take it out. Now, let me show you what it looks like. This is an example of a client that is investing $10,000 per year into their infinite banking policy. Now, I know some of y'all old and y'all can't see, so I'm going to tell y'all what's on the screen. All right, so on the screen, we got $10,000. So y'all see these under the current scenario, you see all of these different headings here. The premium charge, the policy fee, the per unit charge, the cost of insurance. So you see, this is just breaking out what they're taking out of that $10,000. So if you look over here, it says that the total policy charges are $22.75. But if you subtract that from the $10,000, that's how much went into your savings account. But notice what's happening. The longer we keep the policy, look how those fees just drop off. Look, the premium charge is only charged when you pay a premium. Y'all remember what I told you? So if you did this policy in 10 years, your premium charge wouldn't be $9,200. It might only be $5,000. You with me? So you can control your premium charge. Your policy fee you can't control. The per unit charge is only on the account for the first 10 years. That's just for them to recoup their underwriting costs. The cost of insurance is based on your health, if you smoke or not, if you're overweight or not. And that's pretty much it. Okay, so I always say to clients, if you're looking for significant growth in your policy, okay, number one, try to pay it up as early as possible because that premium charge is going to be less. Okay, number two, keep it for at least 10 years because the per unit charge goes away after 10 years. Okay, so those two fees drop off after 10 years. That's why you see that the fees go from $22.75 in year one all the way down to $400 for the full year by the time this person reaches the 16th year. So some of these fees fall off, some of them don't. The one you can control the most is the premium charge, again, by paying up your policy. Now, there might be some additional charges if you're someone who has riders on your policy. Maybe you added some other stuff that they charge you for. But for my clients, when we set up your stuff, I just tell you, let's just go with the stuff that's free. And then if you need some other protections, we can look at, what those protections are. And if it makes sense to add those to this policy or maybe do that as a separate vehicle. But the main thing here is your Infinite Bank does have costs that decrease over time and allow you to see more benefit in later years. So again, this is a longer term thing, but watch this. Remember what I told y'all before. that we have the charges, but watch this. What if in this first 10 years you were to take money out of this policy and do a oil and gas project? Why do I care about the fees? Because I'm going to be making so much more money, right? And the money that I'm able to take out of that, I'm generating 20% returns on my money. Why do I care about the fees? The fees are going to go down anyway the longer I keep the policy. And I'm not doing this to get rich quick. I'm doing this for the next 15, 20 years. So I don't really care about the fees, because what I'm making on the money I take out of the policy more than compensates for the fees that I have in the early years. So we got to think about this again, not in terms of fees, because this is a lot of times, I can tell you this, and y'all know, some of y'all know I'm going to tell y'all this, and y'all know I'm not lying. A lot of black folks have this syndrome of wanting shit to be free or cheap, right? That ain't how the world works. Now, some stuff you want to go cheap on. You don't want to overpay for stuff. But you also need to understand, you get what you pay for. And what you don't pay for, you don't get. So if you really, that's why I say, you just putting in $300-400 a month, you got a lot of fees and stuff. So if we're going to really get the benefit of this, we got to be putting in 10, 15, and be able to do that consistently, so that we can maybe have a bank that we can access for real estate investments or whatever we might need that money for in retirement or before retirement. Okay. Now, you all know, as I told you before, we're going to access this money using the 72E rule. So you basically using your policy as a bank. And when you're using your policy as a bank, you're just borrowing from that savings account. Okay. And using that money to go make more money. That's what you want to be doing. Use your insurance policy money to make more money. If you use your policy to make more money, you ain't gonna never lose. I promise you, you're not gonna never lose if you use it to make more money. Now, if you use it for some bullshit, it is what it is, right? It's your money. You do with it what you see fit. But what I'm saying to you, the power of this strategy is not so much in the insurance policy itself. It's what the insurance policy is going to give you in addition to the outside investment opportunities that you're going to be able to take advantage of. And that's where the power of being your own bank comes in, because you can basically borrow, repay with no income tax consequences. And you can be creating an entire real estate portfolio outside of your insurance policy. You hadn't even had to touch your retirement to do that. You're creating passive income before you get to retire, because you're making these strategic asset allocations. Maybe you got too much money in your savings account. Fantastic. Let's take that money and put it into an insurance policy. Maybe you got an insurance policy. Or guess what we can do? Let's buy some property in Lagos, Nigeria, like I'm doing, and let's double our money. I'm gonna tell y'all something. To give an example, this real estate investor group is gonna be so sick. I'm gonna tell you. In Nigeria, I'm gonna give y'all an example of what happens when you have capital that you can invest. In Nigeria, the motherland of Nigeria, in Lagos, Nigeria, I'm actually going back to Lagos, Nigeria, the 7th of August. I am not lying to y'all. You can literally buy a piece of land. I've been going to Nigeria since 2020. You can buy a piece of land and start building. Like, I'm going to be building multifamily, single family homes. We're going to be building subdivisions there. So if you're interested in joining the investor group, make sure you stay next to your email, because that's going to be going out sometime next week. But watch this. You start building the property, and it's before you even are finished with the construction, all of the units are sold. So imagine putting money into an investor group, or putting money into an investment, and it takes you about 6 months to build the kind of properties I'm building. It's going to take 6 months to build them. Maybe 10 and 10, maybe we have 20 units inside of a complex, right? With everything included, electricity included. Watch it. What if you had that money in an insurance policy? You borrowed that money out, put $20,000 in there. Within 6 months, within a year, Your 20,000, you get paid back maybe 40,000, maybe 30,000 on top of that. This is what we're talking about. Having access to another source of capital that allows you to take advantage of these opportunities where you may not be able to get to your retirement. You may not be able to do that because you might not be old enough to. Okay, let's keep going. So again, mortgage, you can use the money for extra. If you set up your policy, you can use the money in the policy to make extra mortgage payments. A lot of white families use this for college planning, retirement planning, which is a lot of times what I'm doing with you all when we set these up. We're using it for retirement planning, investments, real estate investments, purchasing vehicles, and even paying for a vacation. And I like to show this check. This is a check from an actual client who was able to take $234,000 out of the life insurance policy. Okay, this is somebody that was not dead. They were not deceased. This person was alive and well, and they were able to access this kind of money from a life insurance policy while they were living. So it works if you started early enough and if you're using the proper policy and the policy is properly structured. I'm checking the time here, everybody, and then we're going to be wrapping up. So let me show you all a couple of examples, okay, of how this would look. Now, most of you that come to my workshop, most of you are like in your 50s, most of you like late 40s, early 50s. I got a lot of you now that are 60, 61, 62. So this 45-year-old female example is not typical. Most of my clients are older, so I'm going to show you more than one example. But let's say you're 45 years old and you want to set up an insurance investment, right? Now remember, I gave you everything that you needed to know. I told you all the tax rules. Remember the 7702? Y'all remember that slide? The green, right? The green square, 7702, 72E. And I showed you that chart where we were doing 100 and 400 as the investment, and we building up that savings. And I also told you all about the fees that come out of your premium and how we can reduce those fees and accelerate the growth of our infinite banking policy. So we're building this example off of everything else that I've already taught you. $6,000 a year going into this policy. Look, the savings account has a credit of $4,800. Then what's the difference between $4,800 and $6,000? $1,200. That's those other fees that this person is paying. The cost of the underwriting, the cost of the death insurance, the cost of the overhead, all of those fees that the insurance company, the premium tax. So that $1,200 is all of that. But notice, even after all of that came out, most of it still went into the savings account. You see what I'm saying? So that's the first year, $4,800 out of the $6,000. So most of it went into the savings. Let's say we continue to do the $6,000 a year for 20 years. That's $120,000. But look what our savings account balance is. What is our savings account balance? $187,000. Why do you care about the fees? I still got $70,000 more than what I put in. I hadn't lost anything. Now, if you're paying fees and you're losing money, you need to reevaluate what you're putting the money in. But if you're paying fees and you're making money, you have a benefit that you can actually see. Like with this, I could see $120,000 in, $187,000 in the savings account. I'm ahead. I can walk away from this thing. This client can walk away from this policy with $187,000, which is still more than what she put in there. But we ain't doing that, right? We're going to keep the money in here because we want to use it for maybe an infinite bank, or maybe you want to use it for retirement. So look what happens if we only did this investment for 20 years and we didn't put any more money in this policy after the 20-year commitment. This 45-year-old female, assuming that she starts from ground zero, she has no retirement savings, then all she's doing is $6,000 a year. She's not doing any real estate investing, which we know she needs to do, right? We're going to do some of that too. If you my client, we're going to do some real estate investment. But guess what? We need to start with your insurance policy, because you can have real estate investment where you have a damn heart attack What's going to happen? Do you have any insurance for that? What good is it having all these investments if you don't have enough insurance, right? So this is why we start with this. Now watch this, 120,000, 187,000 savings account. If we left the money in this policy and only used it for retirement plan, we can take out $564,000. Now, this is potentially a life-changing slide for somebody, because I can tell you from personal experience, the older you get, the quicker time flies. And when you're looking at your money and you're like, oh my goodness, I'm 50 and I only got this, and it's like you start to have these little crisis episodes almost, and you get to the point where you just don't even want to look at it, right? You don't want to look at it because you like, well, I ain't gonna never be able to catch up anyway, so what's the point of me looking at it? But that's the wrong approach to take with your money. Remember what I taught you all. What you do not measure, a goal that is not measured is a goal you want to achieve. You got to look at where you are so we can figure out actionable steps to get you where you want to be. And that might mean putting $1,000 a month into your insurance. Well, guess what? Jerry, I don't have $1,000 a month. Well, guess what? Did you go through the lost money? Remember I told you, lost money. Did we go through that slide? Are we taking advantage of all of those opportunities to have more cash flow so that we can invest into something like this? Y'all with me? So you see how I'm giving you everything you need, not just infinite banking. We talking about helping you with your money, helping you save more, helping you get out of debt. All of that stuff goes together. So if you ever go to a workshop and they don't tell you anything other than infinite banking, they just trying to sell you something. I'm gonna tell you something. God has blessed the Blackwood Company where I can be authentic and genuine and be transparent and let you know I love to teach my people. I just love to teach you, right? But you need to be able to make your own decision. But you need all of the information, and you need to know how infinite banking relates to your savings. How does it relate to your debt? How does it relate to your retirement? All of that stuff has to be discussed if we're going to talk about infinite banking. Okay? Now, here's another example from a 50-year-old female. Now, I'm using females. Obviously, the numbers will be a little different if you're using a man, because, men, the insurance is a little bit more expensive for us as men than it is for women. But I remember this is a client that had a pension that she was receiving, and she came to this workshop and she wanted to know what could she do with that pension. It was $3,000 a month that she was receiving from a pension. She didn't really need the money because she was working. She had retired from one job. I can't remember what job it was, but she retired from that. May have been teaching. I can't remember, but she retired. She was getting this money, but then she had went back to work. So we had $3,000 a month that we could potentially be investing. Because if you put $3,000 a month in your savings account, you're going to be very disappointed if you keep doing that for 5 years and your savings is earning 3% or 4%, but inflation is 7%. That's not that math ain't mathing. We got to make sure that we have enough in our savings. Anything beyond what is enough needs to be invested. That money needs to be put to work. Now, if we put that $3,000 a month into this infinite banking setup, which remember, infinite banking, you can do infinite banking, you can do it for retirement planning, but the main thing is it's nothing but an insurance policy with a savings account. And it adheres to those rules that I told you before. If we funded this policy for 13 years, this client would have a savings account balance of $536,000 at the end of the 13-year period. So look, we put in $468, we got $536 in the account. Are we mad? No, I ain't lost anything. And guess what? Couldn't she have taken some money out of this savings account and bought real estate investment? Sure, right? So this ain't gotta be the number. This number could be 536 here with a $1,000 a month passive income coming back to you. That's still a win to me because I've been able to what? Take a little bit out of here, do something outside of the insurance policy to get me that passive income, And because the money in the policy is tax-free, I can rinse and repeat that process and build up a huge tax-free savings number. So that's why you use your insurance policy. Why would I use the insurance policy? That's what somebody probably, why would I use the insurance policy? I can just do it out of my normal. Yeah, you could do it out of your normal savings, but the problem with that is it's not going to be tax-free. And then number two, is your normal savings going to be able to do what a savings account and an insurance policy can do? Probably not over a long period of time, no. So that is where the insurance comes in and makes that policy process a superior solution than just basically doing it out of your normal savings account. Now, if we followed this all the way to its logical conclusion, this client is going to be able to take $1.6 million out of this infinite banking policy that she's using for retirement planning purposes. Now, notice we funded for 13 years. So again, she could do whatever she wants to do. She has a business that she wants to start. We're not taking anything off the table, but we want to start with this because we got so many benefits. We got long-term care included in this. If you are a business owner and you have a long-term care situation, what's going to happen with all that money you making if you can't get up and go to the business? What's going to happen? If you're not able to take care of yourself, what's going to happen with all that money that you got flowing to you? So see, again, that's why taking it, putting your money in the policy, taking it out of the policy gives us long-term care, gives us income tax-free income, and we can then take that money, level up, make some more money, and put it right back into the policy, just like we never touched it. That's how you set up an infinite bank. That is how you do the infinite banking process, okay? All right, I see through your scheduling of some appointments here. I'm going to try to wrap up so I can take some of your questions. So let's wrap up with this section, okay, which is the annuity section. Now, the annuity is also it's a life insurance policy, but it is a life insurance policy designed to create either growth or income. So the annuity contract is designed specifically for retirement money. So this is a policy that you only use with your 401k, for example, right? If you have an old 401k, let's say, for example, you want to put your money in an insurance policy. Well, do you want to put it in a whole life policy? No. Do you want to put it in a universal life policy? No. Well, Jerry, why should I put it in a whole life or universal life? Here's why. In order to take your retirement and put it in a whole life policy or a universal life policy, you're going to have to pay all the taxes. So you just can't roll it right into a whole life policy and it just go in there. You could put it in there, but that $100,000, you need to peel off about $30,000 of it, send it to your state, send it to the federal government, and the net is what goes into the insurance policy. So that's why we don't want to use those plans, because they force us to pay too much in taxes on our retirement. But if you have retirement, we can use an annuity, which is also an insurance policy, but it allows us to take advantage of the insurance setup without having to pay any current income taxes on the retirement money that we put into the policy. Now look at this. This is going to show you how this works. So if we have a 401k and we want to put it into an annuity contract, this is showing you how this would have worked out for you between 1998 and 2010. Now, the thing about an insurance policy, unlike the stock market, you don't have any stock market risk. So there's not going to be any fluctuating up and down. You might get your interest once a year, once every 2 years, once every 3 years, depending on the policy you set up. So that right there is a key benefit, especially as you're getting older, because if you are in your 60s and you have money saved, right? Are you in a position for the stock market to crash? Maybe we go to war. Maybe there's a bad whatever. Now your 100,000 is 70,000. How long will it take you to make that money back if you're already 60? Is it going to take 3 years? Who knows? Do you have 3 years to be wasting? Do you have 3 years to be waiting on your money to come back? No, you don't. So with these annuity contracts, we can take our IRA, our 401k, our TSP, our money that we got at Fidelity, at Vanguard, at Charles Schwab, at Primerica Financial Services, wherever the money's at, you can actually open an IRA account with the life insurance company. You can roll that money into the IRA account with no taxes, fees, or penalties. And you're going to be able to roll your money in the way that I'm showing you right here, where from 1998 to 2010, the individual who had all of the money in an insurance policy actually came out further ahead than the person who had all the money in the stock market. The reason why is because the insurance policy takes away all the negative years. I don't ever lose anything when the market crashes. And when I'm making money, that now is locked in. That's called an annual reset. So if I have money in a policy and that policy doubles from 100 to 200, I don't lose that 100. No matter what happens, that profit is locked in. If you're in the stock market, none of your profits are locked in. Your profits are only locked in the stock market. If you cash in, you have to cash it in order to lock the profit in. Otherwise, it's going to go up, down, up, down, up, down, which again, there's nothing wrong with that if you're younger. But if you're in your 60s and you telling me that you need to have $50,000 a year or $60,000 a year to maintain a certain standard of living that you want, we need to be taking a real close look at, is this account going to give me that guaranteed income that I know I'm going to have to live off of in the next 10 years? So that's where these insurance policies come in. Now, if we want to use the policy for growth, which is your second bucket, we can actually set up a growth annuity. And the growth annuity just is like a CD with the life insurance company. You put the money in the policy, it does this thing, you let it grow, let it compound. And in this example, a $200,000 investment turns into $7.8 million in a 30-year period. A $200,000 investment grows to $7.8 million in a 30-year period. So this is really important for somebody on here, because you're now seeing how you can actually take your retirement money and create a generational wealth bucket for your family. And this is showing you how it can be done with as little as $200,000, okay? Now, in most cases, we're not going to just look at growth, which is what I'm showing you on the screen now. For most of you, we're going to be looking at doing the growth maybe for 5 or 10 years. And then we're going to shift to income, because that's really what you're wanting to look at if you're in your 50s. You want to look at what am I doing right now? What can I do right now? Maybe it's oil and gas investing. Great. That may not be enough. What else can I do? We got to build multiple streams of income for you so that all of our financial future is not hinged on one particular thing. Now, this annuity account gives us a lifetime income. So this now is another source of passive income in addition to your real estate investments, for example. So in this example, if we put $100,000 in this insurance policy, in 10 years, that $100,000 grows to $239,000 of an income account value. And we have long-term care, not something that you have with your IRA at Fidelity or Vanguard or Primerica. You don't have no long-term care protection. With this, you have long-term care, and depending on the company that you use, it can be done at no additional cost. Now, there's one company, I know they charge 1%, but 1%, I mean, think about what long-term care will cost if you had to go out and get a policy. That's if you qualify, because you have to medically qualify. With this, you don't have to medically qualify. It's, do you have the account? Great. That benefit after a 2-year waiting period automatically kicks in, and it doubles your income. Whatever your income is out of the policy, the life insurance will double that money for you, and you have inflation protection built in. Your income is not going to stay the same forever. They're going to increase your income. So we have all of those buckets that are so important, all of those issues, long-term care, inflation, that stuff is important, right? We can have all of that inside of our insurance policy. And this is why you want to look at insurance as a part of your portfolio especially if you're in your 50s and your 60s, because again, leaving it in the stock market, you don't have no guarantee on what it's going to be, right? You don't have any long-term care, and none of your profits are locked in. With this, all of your profits are locked in, and you have a guarantee on what your income is going to be. Okay. Now, like I said, in most cases, what we're going to do is we're going to do a combination, because remember, we have 3 separate buckets. We have safety, growth, and income. I taught y'all that we got safety, growth, and income, right? So we might be in a position, okay, maybe your safety bucket is where it should be. You're good there, which is for most of you, your safety is where it should be. In fact, most of you have too much emphasis on safety. Okay. So a lot of what we're going to have to do is look at, okay, do we have a little bit too much in our savings account? Okay. What other bucket can we put this in? Okay. The next bucket we need to focus on after safety is growth. Is your growth where it should be? Are we growing our money enough that's going to create the income that we're going to want to need later on, right? So again, what we can do is growth in the first phase. We can move it into the annuity contract, grow the money 5 years or 10 years, and then we can actually either convert that growth annuity into an income account, or we can move that account to a different company. And in this example, a $500,000 investment into this policy creates $36,000 for this person's lifetime. So imagine putting $500,000 into something and you get $36,000 for the rest of your life, guaranteed. No matter what happens in the stock market, no matter what happens to Social Security, no matter what happens to anything else, because that is the reason why we need to make sure that we're leveraging the guarantees that we receive from insurance. Now, could you probably do better than, let's say, like this account, we grew it from 500 to 800,000 in 5 years. Could you have possibly done better than that in the insurance in the stock market? Yeah, you could have. Would it have been guaranteed? No. Would any of it be protected? No. It'll all be just based on if the stock is up, if it's down, what's happening with the economy, what's going on with Congress. So again, this is a way for us to get the growth, the safety, growth, and income that we need within our portfolio using our current retirement savings. Okay. All right. And I just want to kind of just show you all some of the other benefits, because most of the time when people talk about life insurance, they only talk about life insurance in terms of the death benefit aspect of life insurance. And yes, we get, the death benefit is we need the death benefit to pay off bills and taxes and stuff like that. But there are other things that come up, chronic and critical illness. Do you have anything, if you're on here right now, do you have everything put together within your portfolio to ensure that if you do become critically ill or chronically ill, or you have a long-term care situation, is that going to adversely impact your finances? Is it going to really mess up your retirement plans? It only takes 1 year or 2 of something like that to really throw your finances completely off. Are you financially prepared for that? What if you are working and you throw your back out on your job and you don't get workers' comp, you don't have a short-term disability package? What are you going to do? Where are you going to take the money from? You're going to take it out your growth bucket, right? Well, if you take it out your growth bucket, now we're affecting your retirement income. You see what I'm saying? So that's why I say start it the right way. Do it the right way up front so that you don't have to backtrack. You don't have to always start over when life throws something at you. Okay? So that's the importance of, again, having insurance within our portfolio, having the right policies, making sure those policies are properly structured, putting enough into the policies to get the benefits that we're ultimately going to need. Okay? All right, everybody. So there you have it. I'm going to put up my contact information on the screen. I really do appreciate you all for attending today's workshop on infinite banking. We covered a lot of ground today. I always like to try to put information in my presentations that you're not going to find anywhere else. And I'm sure some of you have been to several of these workshops where people are talking about infinite banking and all this kind of thing, but they do not go into the detail that I go into. And guess what? They don't spend 2 hours talking to you. I am a teacher. I am an enlightener. That's what my gift is this, to educate. And a lot of people come to my workshop, they get free information and they go work with somebody else. That's okay. Because I know what God has for me is for me. And I've always learned that if you move in whatever capacity of gift God has given to you, God will take care of you. You can't control whether somebody like you, don't like you, agree with you, don't agree with you. They want to be your client or don't want to be your client. That's totally fine. I know that I've done my duty by making you more educated, so that whenever you go to another infinite banking workshop, you're not going to have all of this information in the back of your head. You're going to say, that person never mentioned this, right? They never mentioned the fees. They never told me what those fees are. They never told me all the tax rules. They never told me how I can take. See how I've given you more in this 2 hours. Some of you more than you've ever had in your entire life in a financial workshop. Imagine what I give you as your advisor. All right. So I'm going to look real quick. I'm going to turn off my screen share because it confused me a little bit. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take some of you all's questions. Hey, Miss Alice. Look, everybody, Miss Alice Jeter is one of my favorite clients. Love you, Miss Alice. Thank you for coming again. So real quick, while you all are asking me questions, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what we're doing over in Nigeria. I am going to put together a class that's going to be the last Saturday of this month. And in that class, I'm going to be showing you the projects that I'm currently working on. We're going to be buying land over in Nigeria. And you probably ask yourself, well, how in the hell are you able to do that, Jerry? Favor ain't fair, everybody. Favor is not fair. But it's going to create a tremendous amount of opportunity for those of you who are interested in traveling over to Nigeria. We're going to have our own property in the motherland. So when you come over to Nigeria, you're going to be able to not only see the developments that we've done, because I'll tell you this, when I go over there, when I go to Nigeria, now make sure y'all follow me on YouTube. Make sure you stay on the email list because I'm going to start putting up videos. I'm going back over there August 7th. You're going to see me interacting with Nigeria. You're going to see me going out to eat, having a cocktail. And you're going to see also some of the beautiful properties that are there and how just marvelously designed. And Miss Alice, you saw the picture. Miss Alice is a client of mine, and I sent you the picture, Miss Alice, and it's just beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And so I've created relationships that are going to allow you now, as a brother and sister in the United States, to not only build wealth in the motherland, but actually have somewhere to take your family. And the reason why this is so important and so exciting to me is because I've not ever heard of a black firm, a black financial planning firm, or any firm that you would be comfortable with taking you over to Nigeria. We are the first firm that has been able to do it, and will be able to do it successfully in a way that our clients will be safe, our clients will have fun, and our clients are also going to be able to make money in the motherland. So make sure you are tuned in for that workshop that I'm doing on I believe that is going to be the 29th of this month. Okay. So if you're interested in investing, want to join our real estate investor group that we're launching, make sure you are on the email list. Make sure you share that with your friends and family. Because look, here's the thing also. Y'all may say, well, Jerry, why Nigeria? Whenever this was on my spirit. Whenever people are telling you not to do something, whenever people are operating out of fear, that is where the opportunity is. When people operate out of fear, see, most black folks, when they talk about going to Africa, everybody run to Ghana. Everybody go to Ghana. Everybody go to South Africa. Nobody wants to go to Nigeria. And I wonder why that is, because if you do the Ancestry DNA test, the vast majority of us on here have Nigerian in our blood. In fact, most of your DNA is from Nigeria. but we all run to Ghana. We run to South Africa, but don't pay Nigeria any mind. And I feel like that has been a missed opportunity, because guess what? If you Google right now, the fastest growing developing economies, guess where they all are? With a few exceptions, guess where they are? Africa. That's why you see Russia buying up land. That's why China keep buying up land. That's why the Pakistanis and the Arabs keep buying up you see the Russian flag, the Chinese flag over there. And I've gone into there's Chinese restaurants in Nigeria. I ain't seen not one soul food restaurant over there. Not one. Not a single one. But I see Chinese restaurants over there, though. I see KFC over there. When I made one of my friends, I have a lot of friends over there. I cook smothered turkey. Y'all, I'm from Mississippi, so I'm gonna be from Mississippi no matter where I live. I cooked some smothered turkey with some rice, with some gravy and stuff. And when they tasted my smothered turkey, I think it was smothered turkey I cooked, they like lost their mind. They're like, "Oh my goodness, Jared, what is this? What is this?" And I'm thinking to myself, wow, I could open a restaurant over here and it do exceptionally well, because they've never been exposed to Black folks' food. Y'all get what I'm saying? So that's why this real estate thing is so important for me. And I think that you will find, those of you who do come over, it will be the most life-changing experience that you've ever had. Probably one of the most life-changing experiences that you ever had. And that's why the Black Wealth Company is different, everybody. We are creating experiences for you. We're about creating a community of like-minded brothers and sisters who want to experience the joy and that sense of community that we used to have back in the 70s and the 80s, where everybody used to just get together, have a good time, get educated, look out for one another without any type of hidden motive or hidden agenda. Everything's so damn fake now, and everybody's so damn selfish, self-centered. Everybody wants to be seen. Everybody wants to be an influencer. But people are not doing the internal work that they need to do to be effective. You have to do internal work for God to use you to the extent that you can be used. And that is a lesson that God has allowed me to learn, is that this business, the Black Wealth Company, is not about me. It is about you. It is about your son, your daughter, your grandbabies being exposed to this type of stuff. Never before. Imagine if you're the first person to start the family tradition of going back and forth to the motherland. Now we have opened up a whole nother set of business opportunities that maybe you and I will never be able to take advantage of. But because this is something that we're starting now we can actually 10 generations from now say, yeah, we got land not only in Nigeria, we got land here too. Why you just only got to have property in the United States? Just saying. So that's what the Black Wealth Company is about. We are going to make an impact in the city of Atlanta. We're going to make an impact throughout the United States and also throughout the world. I'm looking forward to you helping us do that, you doing that. I really appreciate you all. All right. So what questions do we have? What questions do we have about today's material? Y'all, I'm sorry I went off on my soapbox, so y'all got to forgive me. What other questions do we have? What other questions do we have about the material? Any questions? Any questions? Most of y'all done come to my workshop a zillion times, so y'all probably ain't got probably ain't got a lot of questions, but tune in. I believe next week, I'm gonna say this real quick and then I will wrap up. Next week is going to be estate planning again, and then the last weekend of this month we're doing the real estate investor group, which we'll be talking about traveling to Nigeria. Again, we're going to be sponsoring your travel over to Nigeria, so you can come over there. All of your accommodations will be taken care of. The only thing you got to do is just pay for your package. Those of you who are investing with us in real estate over there, we're going to be going to some of the property sites, as well as taking you to some of the developments that have already been completed. I'm actually using a very well-known real estate builder over there who also travels to the United States. So a lot of the people that I'm working with, these are some Nigerians that actually come to the United States. They actually travel back and forth to the United States. So that's going to be great for us in terms of knowing that we're secure in what we're doing and that we're working with a reputable individual that also has business in the United States. So again, it's all about making sure that we're protecting you and also our own money. Okay. Oh, okay. Sensei Ernest asked, what is oil and gas that you invest in? So there are certain companies out there that you have to be careful, but the company that I'm investing with, they go out, they do all the work, they find the property, they work out a deal with the landowner. The landowner may not be able to afford to get the oil out of the land, and so they work with third-party companies that basically make them off, and usually the landowner gets like 20 to 30% of the royalty from whatever the oil is. So if we generate $1 million of oil money, then they'll get $300,000. Then the investors will get the remaining $700,000. Now that's a general rule of how it works. But generally, you can own a portion of these projects. So if I put in $100,000, there might be 30 other investors that have put in that same $100,000, and then we go do the project. It starts making money. The owner's happy. We happy. We got the tax benefit, and we get the lifetime. We get the income for say 10 or 15 years. So I work with a company that's registered with the SEC, and I have an existing relationship with them. Those of you who are scheduling appointments, who have money you want to start investing, we can chat about that. But the main thing is, our real estate investor group that we're putting together, in all likelihood, we're also going to have some of that as well as part of the portfolio. Okay. All right. Did we have any other questions? Is it smart to take a loan from the bank on your life insurance? It can be, Shantine. A lot of very wealthy people do it. Now, right now is probably not the best time to do it because the interest rates are so high. So now is not the best. A lot of people were doing that back before the interest rates went up so much. But now borrowing money to buy the insurance is not as popular of a thing to do because the interest rates are so high, and you got to generate so much money on the policy. Remember, you got all those fees in the policy too. So between those fees and the interest that you're paying on the loan, it's not really worth it, at least in the near term. But there are some situations where it does make sense to do that. All right, same Republic plays with it. Okay, we got any other questions here? Any other questions? Mr. or Miss Deanna Love, I got you. I got your appointment. It came to my phone, so we will be talking. Jill Harris, I'm here in a public place where the connection is not good with catch. Okay. Also, yeah, I'm emailing out the recording, everybody. So if you came in late, maybe you need to go back over something. That will be sent out here shortly. You can watch that. Make sure you forward it to your friends and family members. We will see you all next week here. Next week, we're going to be talking about estate planning again. Then we're going to end the month with the real estate investment opportunity that we're going to be doing over in the motherland. Okay, so y'all take care. Also, y'all remember the Blackwood Company is a U.S. company, so we're not only doing investments over there, we'll also be doing investments in Black communities throughout the United States. But the Nigeria opportunity is the most lucrative at this point. And so that's why that's the first thing we'll be doing. But we're also going to be pouring millions of dollars into developing Black communities out the United States. White folks are doing it. They pushing a lot of the Black seniors out because the property tax is so high. White developers come in, they buy everything up. They don't care nothing about the character of the neighborhood or who's been there, how long they've been there. They just trying to make money. So the only way we can really combat that kind of thing as a community is we need to own a piece of the pie.